When you feel steady and comfortable, gently close your eyes. We will begin with Mangalacharan. यस्त्यक्त्वा रूपमाद्यं प्रभवति जगतो अनेकधानुग्रहाय प्रक्षीणक्लेशराशिर्विषमविषधरो अनेकवक्त्रः सुभोगी सर्वज्ञानप्रसूतिर्भुजगपरिकरः प्रीतये यस्य नित्यं देवो हीशः सोऽव्यात् सितविमलतनुर्योगदो योगयुक्तः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति. Gently bow your head down. Bring yourself to the class. Prepare yourself for the session. Whenever you're ready, gently lift your head up. Open your eyes. Externalize. Namo Namaha. Harihi Om. We will continue with the sutras where we stopped in the last session. We discussed Sutra 19 completely. Today, we shall try to conclude Sutra 20, 21 and 22 together. Yes. So far, we had seen what the drishya is. The previous sutra, Sutra 17, talked about the drishya. Now this sutra talks about the drishta. Bhashyam Vyakhyatam drishyam atah drishtah swarupa avadharanartha idam arabhyate. Chant after me. Drushta drushi matraha
Drushta drushi
matraha
Shuddho api Pratyaya anupashyaha Drushta drushi matraha Shuddho api Pratyaya anupashyaha. Let's observe this sutra. Let's see what it brings. So in the previous sutras, we talked about Chatvari Guna Paravani. Yes, we discussed at length about the Prakriti. We saw that the Guna is not seen, but the Guni is seen. From the different Gunis, we have the understanding of the Guna. So why not say that everything is Prakriti? Why it had to be the evolutes of Prakriti? Because the answer is everything in the universe is Kramabandhit in Kramashaya, in chronology. So to understand Prakriti, we must understand the theory of cosmic evolution. And evolution, whenever we speak evolution, we are discussing chronology, one after the other, one step after the other. Now, this sutra further is going to help us understand who is a drishta. You can write who is the seer or drishta. Drishta kya hai? Let's see the bhashyam. Drushi matra iti drikshaktireva visheshana param vrushtad ityarthaha sapurusho buddhehe pratisamvedi sabuddherna swarupo nantyanta virupa iti na tavat swarupah kasmat jata jata vishayatvat parinamani hi buddhistayascha vishayagro gavadir ghatadir jatascha jatascheti parinamitvam drashyati sada jata vishayatvantu purushasya parinamatitvam paridipyati kasmat nahi buddhyascha nama purusha vishayascha syad grihita grihita cha iti siddham purusha sada jata vishayatva tatascha parinama itviti. So the first paragraph tells us that the drashta plays two roles. One is the role of a drashta, that is shuddha, and second is grahita. Drashta and grahita, both. Drashta and grahita. Drashta is shuddha. And grahita is pratyaya anupashyaha, the last part of the sutra. Pratyaya anupashyaha. So Purusha, Drashta, Shuddha. And Grahita, one who is in contact, closeness with the Buddhi. We discussed Alinga and Linga Tattva. What is Alinga? And what is Linga? You will have to unmute yourself and please answer this question because it is essential for me to help you progress ahead on this sutra. What is Linga? Alinga. Just two definitions given.
Linga is the Mahatara Buddhi. Component,
And Alinga is the Prakriti. So what Tadatmata we are seeing? What closeness of the Purusha with the Buddhi. Just like in front of the crystal, a rose is kept and the crystal appears to be pink. So this closeness of the Purusha with the Buddhi or Linga itself is samsara, is bandhana, is bondage.
Sorry, Gia, I think I've lost something trying to write down. You said that, okay, linga, we can say that it's buddhi. So the closeness of linga or buddhi to the samsara is bondage? No.
Purusha.
No, yeah.
Closeness of Purusha with the Buddhi is samsara.
Okay, I will have to reflect on that.
Means, for example, you are maybe in front of the laptop. The data is there in the computer. Who is the analyzer of this data? The Purusha. And the source of the monitor and everything that is seen, Drishya, is the Buddhi, Linga. Just hold this for 1 minute so that it will remove the instant block. Then later you can contemplate and you will arrive at it. But in the moment, what is in front of you? The monitor, the PC, laptop, whatever data it is showing. Who is the seer? Is there any meaning for the data if there is no seer or the one who comprehends it? No. So when we look at Purusha also and Buddhi also, it is the same. Now, today, just write few qualities and differences between Purusha and Buddhi, so it becomes more clear to us. So, Purusha is Swarupa or Sadagyata. Purusha is Swarupa, the self. Sadagyata, the all-knower, known everything. And how is the Buddhi? Sada Agyata, always ignorant. Therefore you say, oh, once I saw this, I could understand it. मैं इसे समझ पाया या समझ पाई. So first difference, how is the Purusha? The Gyata, knower. Buddhi, Agyata, ignorant. Swarup, the Purusha, you call it Chitta Shakti. How is this? Drashta, the Prakash Matra Drashta, the Swarupa, Purusha, This Purusha is Swavalambi, dependent on the self. Independent, you can say. And the Buddhi acts as per Manas. So it is constantly holding on to objects, leaving them, holding on to objects, leaving them. The Buddhi in the world, contrary, observes the objects, and if there are no more objects to observe, it goes and rests into deep sleep. It does not try to understand the Purusha. How is the nature of Buddhi? Externalized. All the time, externalized. When not externalized, in the Jagat, in the world, when there is nothing to be understood by the senses, what is the state of the Buddhi? Sushupti. Will not know the Purusha. Okay? Never. Therefore, Buddhi sada agyata hai. What will you write? Buddhi sada agyata hai. And the object for Buddhi is never Purusha. The Buddhi by itself will never contemplate on Purusha. How is it? Very externalized. Except Purusha, everything that needs to be known in the Prakriti is in the Buddhi. हम कहते हैं बुद्धि सो जाती है जगत के बिना. The Buddhi retires to rest, sleeps off without samsara or jagat. So this tanmayata, this closeness of the Buddhi and Purusha, of the Purusha with the Buddhi is samsara. This is known as a sansari or jiva. Jivatma, Paramatma, difference. And samsara is based on what? Vishvasa, Shraddha and Nishtha. Vishvasa, what is Vishvasa? Having trust, right? Trust, Vishvasa, Shraddha, faith. And Nishtha. Shraddha, faith, and Nishtha. That is absolute conviction. In English, when you're very, very sure, when you're in that state and unchangeable. So in the world, what do we see? Normally, we easily trust anyone, but we may not bow down to them. We may not hold respect for them. Yes? After trust, we hold faith. To the one we hold faith, like the Guru. We are always placing the wrong and right aside. We are in complete surrender. And after this faith, what is the next stage? Nishtha. What is Nishtha? Nitaram asthiti iti Nishtha. Where you are absolutely convinced. Convinced is the closest term. Yes. Now, when you're absolutely convinced, what happens? Even with the Guru Tattva is there. You're able to make most of it. When in the first stage you have trust, you'll not be able to make the most from what is available for you. The moment there is faith and surrender, you will still be able to move ahead and take the most. But when there is Nishtha, wherein you're absolutely convinced, this stage of Nishtha takes us towards Mukti. So when we say the Purusha who is a Grahita, this Grahita is going opposite. The one who was in Nishtha, absolutely convinced, moves towards trust of the Buddhi. Do you see what is happening? Grahita, the same Purusha in closeness with the Buddhi, from Nishtha to faith and faith to trust on ever-changing objects. And Shuddha Purush, from the stage of trust going towards Nishtha. You call it Baddha Purush, Mukta Purush. Take a moment, reflect on this, then we progress. Let's see the second part of the verse. Kaschan parartha buddhihi sahatyakaritvat swartha purusha iti tatha sarvartha dhyana vyaktitvat triguna buddhiris trigunatvat chetadeti gunanam tupadrushta purusha iti ato na swarupah astu tarhi virupa iti natyanta virupah kasmat shuddhopyasau pratyaya anupashyo yatah pratyayam bodhyam anupashyati tamanupashyanna तदात्मा रूपी तदात्मक इव प्रत्यय भाव अस्ते तथा च उक्तम अपरिणाम इति हि भोक्तु शक्ति प्रतिसंक्रमा च परिणाम सिद्ध्यर्थ प्रतिसंक्रनेति एव तदवृत्तिम आपनुति तस्याश्च प्राप्तेश्चेत्यो उपग्रह रूपाया बुद्धिवृत्तेर अनुकार मात्रतया बुद्धिवृत्ते विशिष्टः हि जानवृत्तिरित्या ख्यायते. Now the second part says, Buddhi is parartha for others. Purusha is swartha for self. How is the Buddhi? Parartha. Para, other. Next, artha. So Purusha is not Swarupa nor Virupa. Buddhi is Swarupa Virupa. You will see the glimpses of both in the Buddhi. Buddhi Parartha for other means what? There is a window to the house for the others. Window has no utility of its own. And how are we living everything right now? For others. Every experience of life is for others. What they will make of this, what they will think out of this. So how are we acting? Through the senses. So this verse says, Buddhi is parartha, always utility, outside. And how is the Purusha? Swartha, being me. I am contained and filled. And how is the Buddhi? Observing everything outside. I'm feeling happy about it. Ever changing, needs one, some or the other thing. If there is nothing of the manas that comes to the Buddhi, feels very low. Suddenly non-happy. So this constant fluctuation from happiness to non-happiness, happiness to non-happiness, dependent on what? Objects outside. And how is the Purusha? Swarthi. Swarthi, which is in the self. Internalized, is not dependent on what is seen, the drishya. How is the drishya? Ever changing. We're talking about the drishta. Therefore, we are seeing the differences. And which point of differentiation we are taking from Prakriti to Purusha based on the Buddhi. Because the Alinga, Pradhana is what? Same state of Trigunas. There is no Purushartha. But we see with the closeness of Purusha with the Buddhi, there is ignorance that is formed. So this very sutra says that the Purusha has become pratyayanu pasya. Whatever the Buddhi is bringing is seeing that. Whatever is coming through the Buddhi has forgotten the Swartha, and similarly, the tendencies of the Buddhi are being mirrored. And starts holding whatever Jnana is there in the Buddhi. Whatever the Buddhi brings, the Purusha identifies itself with it. So, जो ज्ञान स्वरूप वाला था वो ज्ञान वृत्ति वाला बन गया. The one who is ज्ञान स्वरूप, embodiment of the knowledge, has become what? The one who is carrying the vritti of knowledge. ज्ञान स्वरूप वाला क्या हो गया? ज्ञान वृत्ति वाला बन गया. तो बुद्धि में अज्ञान है. अज्ञान किसमें? पुरुष में है अज्ञान. Is there ignorance in the Purusha? Where is this ignorance? Buddhi. And therefore, because of closeness, what happens? Purusha is feeling what? Ignorant. Has forgotten the Swarupa. Ji, Lisa, yes.
I'm a little bit confused right now. Probably it's my mistake of the past. I always thought to translate Buddhi or Mahat as universal consciousness and Ahamkara as personal consciousness, ego-ness. But then if it's Buddhi, this universal consciousness, I always, now maybe I'm starting to see differences, but I always put on the same level of Purusha. So now I understand that it's separate and really different. But why universal consciousness Buddhi is ignorant then? Is not the knowledge at the base, primordial knowledge of everyone? Thank you.
So you can write, instead of universal consciousness, write cosmic intelligence.
Okay.
Change this term for Buddhi as cosmic intelligence. And individual intelligence for Ahamkara.
Okay.
So this sutra itself helps us separate the both. Cosmic intelligence, like I said, there is data, a lot of knowledge. But who is processing this? So when it is the Purusha, the I-ness is still there, higher I am. So even if I have a lot of knowledge, I have that knowledge. So I am remains constant in each stage. In Buddhi, that's not the case. No matter what happens, experience in your life, I am continues to be your primary experience. What is your primary experience once you wake up in the morning? And when you go to sleep, and throughout the time you're sleeping, all the three avasthas. What is the experience? I am is the experience. When acting out of the cosmic intelligence, then yes, the differentiation is seen that there is the drishya also and drashta. Mahat is what? Simply the separation. In the stage of Mahat, we clearly see the separation of the both Purusha and Prakriti. That's why we call it cosmic intelligence. And how is this Mahat? Layatmak. Again and again, it is going to be destroyed. Purusha, there is no laya, constant.
Guruji, at this stage, we are only referring to the manifested state of the Buddhi. Or are we also referring to the unmanifested state when you're defining these discriminations between Purusha and Buddhi?
We are strictly looking at the linga itself, neither of its evolutes. We are purely talking about the linga because it is closest to the Purusha. And in Alinga, unless in Alinga, it's all together. Only when there is Purushartha, there is some change in a symbolic form, then we understand there is some separation from the Purusha. So if you want, you can write for this word by word also in English. You can simply write, the seer is merely the power of seeing. Not what is seen. What is seen is the buddhi. The seer is merely the power of seeing. Although, however, even if the seer is pure, it witnesses the images of the mind. It witnesses the images of the mind. And these objects become known to Purusha through these images or through the buddhi. So very before, I think if you recall, we discussed that Purusha is like the mirror. And what is seen in the mirror is the Prakriti. So once again, I would like to bring our attention to the very beginning, the first pada, where we had discussed this, where we had discussed the Purusha and Prakriti. Because this chapter is, again, begins for Yoga Ruksha. So here, not directly Purusha and Prakriti, but what is discussed? Purusha and Linga, Buddhi is discussed. I hope you are able to catch the difference. In the first pada, what are we saying? Purusha and Prakriti. In the second pada, because that is for Yoga Rudha. For Yoga Ruksha, how are we simplifying it further? Purusha and Buddhi. What is seen and who is the seer. Also, you can write the reflection of moon on the water, on the river, makes the river looks milky. The reflection of sun on the sea makes it look golden or fiery. So, the misidentification of Purusha with the Buddhi, you can write misidentification of the Purusha with the Buddhi is agitated by the three gunas, and it is the cause of bondage. Is agitated by the three gunas and cause of bondage. And the existence of Purusha separate from Buddhi is evidenced by the fact that I am continues to stay. What is the evidence of Purusha? This sutra says the drashta, I am remains irrespective of what state. But when you look at Buddhi, when you go to rest, does any of it remain? So all knowable things are evolutes of Prakriti, and the knower is separate from the known. And how is this? Swarthi. Independent. And due to this misidentification, how has it become? Pratyaya anupashya. So pratyaya, ideas or images of the mind. Anupashya, witness. If you look at the complete sutra, drishta is the seer, drishi, power of seeing, matra, only, shuddha, pure, api, although, pratyaya, ideas or images of the mind, anupashyaha, witness. So mind being so pure, the Mahat, what is it reflecting? The samsara. I hope you are able to catch this. The reflections of the mind. Samsara into the reflections of the mind and misidentification of Purusha with these reflections. We'll move on to the next sutra. Now, the next sutra says, why is it so? Why does it happen? Chant with me. Tadartha eva drusyasyatma.
Tadartha eva drishyasatma.
Tadartha eva drushyasatma.
Tadartha eva drushyatma.
Bhashya. दृशिरूपस्य पुरुषस्य कर्मरूपमात्पन्न दृश्यमिति तदार्थ एव दृश्यसात्मा स्वरूपं भावतीत्यर्थः तत्स्वरूपं तु परुपरेण प्रतिलब्ध्यात्मकं भोग अपवर्गतायां कृतायां पुरुषेण न दृश्यति इति स्वरूप हानादस्य नाशः प्राप्तो न तु विनश्यति. This sutra, the students are asking, says Patanjali, why does it so happen? Then why is it the Purusha seeing these images and what happens by the same of the samsara? So here we take tadartha means Purushasya artha eva and karma rupatma panna. So bhoga utpanna. We had discussed, if you recall, why the contact. The students are asking why there is a contact between Purusha and Buddhi. And what is the answer? 2. Bhoga and apavarga. What is the answer? Bhoga, that is enjoyment of the evolutes of Prakriti, and apavarga, bondage and liberation. Both is provided by it. And this bhoga is what? Dharma, artha, kama, and apavarga, moksha. So for purushartha, the Prakriti is giving both bhoga and apavarga. The Buddhi is able to provide both to the Purusha. Unlimited objects, unlimited lifetimes to enjoy these objects. And also apavarga, liberation, to know one's own true nature. Both are provided from the same Prakriti. So what is the main reason? We have seen the drishta and drishya completely now. Why is this contact? For bhoga and apavarga, both. Prakriti itself takes us towards liberation and also bondage. And who decides? As long as we want. As long as we want. Take births after births. Have ambitions after ambitions. No stopping. But heyam dukkham anagatam. The problem with bhoga is what? It's not free of suffering. And for the yogi, what happens? We see the entire drishya dissolves. Yes? So does it physically dissolve? No. For a yogi, it stops giving bhoga and apavarga both. Why did we say the Prakriti is Nitya? Prakriti is constant. Because yoga says there are many Purushas. So even for me, if it has dissolved, for the others it is still there. If for me ignorance is dissolved, for the others ignorance still remains. And for others, if it remains, that means ignorance continues to remain. Because we are talking of multiplicity of Purushas. And Prakriti is one and single. Slowly, when we move towards Vedanta, it changes. The seer becomes one and Maya has its different forms. Just in between, whenever if you take up study of Vedanta anytime, anywhere, and if you recall little bit of Yoga Sutra that time, you will be able to hold it at this point. Only at this point, we see a change in Vedanta and Yoga Sutras. But what does the yoga philosophy, Sage Patanjali, tell us here? That multiplicity of Purusha. So therefore, even if one Purusha is Mukta, the ignorance still continues because it's still there for other people. Therefore, we call it Nitya or constant. For the yogi, just like it is for us when we enjoy something in the outer world, and when it is incapable of giving us any further enjoyment, we immediately stop it. It doesn't mean that object is removed from the world. It continues to exist, but it is no more capable of giving us bhog or apna. So the contact between the Purusha and Buddhi is for what? Both bhoga and apavar. To know, to enjoy the evolutes of Prakriti as much. There is no limit. They are constantly evolving. There is constant evolution happening. And also apavarga. तो दृश्य बना रहेगा पर आपके लिए नहीं. Once you are on the path of yoga, the visual of the world will remain. In the buddhi, it will be reflected, but you will not be affected. Presently, what is reflected, you are affected by it. They will be reflected, but you will not be affected. Because buddhi is for parartha, outward. How have you become? Swarthi, inward. Make a note here. The essential nature of that which is seen is exclusive for the seer. That which is seen is exclusive for the seer. And seers are many. So not everybody is seeing the same. Dependent on their vrittis, vasanas, from births and births, there is a change in the drishya. So, of pleasure and pain is experienced by the other always. This other is the Purusha. The pleasure or pain itself does not have any means of experience. So the Prakriti is always going to be Bhog Pradhan. The feeling attached to it, the experience of it is always recorded in the Purusha. Just like the purpose of the bed would be for the sleeper, not for the bed itself.
Could you repeat that last part? I'm sorry, I was busy writing.
Yes, the purpose of the bed is for whom? The one who is going to sleep on it, the sleeper. If there is no sleeper, will there be any purpose of this bed in the world being made? So if there is the Prakriti, if such beautiful arrangement of the cosmic universe, of the cosmos has been created, it must be for someone who is the king of all of this, who is the master of all of this, who is the seer of all of this. And the seer is the seer of that and the seer is the aware of its seeing power. This is moksha or mukti. We focus on the creator. We must focus on the seer. For whom? Not by whom. For whom? Okay, you are seeing the creation. It is in front of you. That means it is there. So, you're more closer to for whom than who created it or why it is there in the first place. So, the question must be, all of this that I see is for whom? Who is the master? Who will either choose to enjoy it or who will choose to rise above it or discard it. Do you recall? We said Prakriti, we have, what does it have? Kartritva. And Purusha, Bhoktritva. The experiences. So, if the creation is there, but there is nobody to experience it, there is no use of the. So, this sutra, last 3 sutras have for the Yoga Ruksha very properly, one by one, separated the evolutes of Prakriti and explained it with smaller examples. So, for the one who is liberated, does the Prakriti have no more purpose then? The Prakriti continues, but for others. It does not disturb the one who is liberated. Prakriti continues to remain Drishya. But it's not giving neither Bhog nor Apavarga. Apavarga is also received. Purusha has become Mukta. What to do in that case? There is no attachment. Just like you're standing and you're watching from Tapovan, the range of hills. And you just observe them and you say, either you smile, you know they are going to change, the weather will change, the day will change tonight. You're simply seeing it with no personal attachment with it. You don't want to own the mountain. You don't want to own the sun. You don't want to own anything of what you are seeing. You understand it's merely the power of seeing that I am, not that is seen. This power which I am experiencing beyond the scene of seeing, when you realize this power, the Chitta Shakti is liberation. You don't enjoy what is seen, but you enjoy the power of seeing, of being the master, not a slave to the evolutes of Prakriti or whatever bhog that Prakriti would bring. Have you written it? We can move on to the next sutra. Let's open it. Krutartham prati nashtam
कृतार्थं प्रति नष्टम्
apyanashtam
अप्यनष्टम्
tadanya sadharanatvat
तदन्यसाधारणत्वात्
Krutartham prati nashtam
कृतार्थं प्रति नष्टम्
apyanashtam
अप्यनष्टम्
tadanya sadharanatvat.
तदन्यसाधारणत्वात्
The karta, accomplished or fulfilled. Artham, purpose. Prati, towards. Nashtam, destroyed. Api, although. anashtam, not destroyed, that anya, sadharanatvat, because of being common. Although the scene ceases to exist for one whose purpose is accomplished, that is the liberated Purusha, it has not ceased to exist altogether since it is common to the others, non-liberated Purushas. So this is more expressed in this sutra. So if we ask, who carries avidya? This sutra can be best explained with one line. Who carries avidya? The one who sees the Jagat carries the avidya. The one who sees the samsara carries the avidya. I will repeat again. Who carries avidya? Ignorance. The one who sees the Jagat, the world, carries the avidya. I did not say who is ignorant. I said who carries ignorance, because whatever you carry, you can drop it also. जिसे दिख रहा है जगत, उसे दिख रही है अविद्या. The one who can see the jagat has the or carries the avidya. Natu vinashyati drushya. This sutra says it's therefore never going to end, that which is seen. Purusha, you become aware of this. There is no end to the scene. It has continued. How many visuals you have seen since birth? Do you have any account of it? How many more you are going to see, and how much of those do you really recall and have really added any meaning, purport to life? Therefore, focus more on the seer, the power of seeing. From where is it coming? We discussed in very nearer sessions, few sessions back, from the senses till the mind. Internalize what's fueling the working of the senses, what is fueling the working of the mind, and so on. We will take this sutra in the next session. We will pause here for today. I hope it has not been much, 2 sutras together. If you have any questions, please send a voice note to me. You can ask questions now also. Not okay. We are moving closer to the 8 limbs very soon. Once Heya, Hetu, Han and Hanopai, these 4 conclude, because they had to be known to the Yoga Ruksha. What is Heya, Hetu, Han and Hanopai? And then Sage Patanjali will start elaborating and simplifying it further. This is also what we are studying right now, is for the one who has some kind of deformity but has more adhikaritva. In Yoga Ruksha also you have 2 categories. Do you recall? We studied. And one who is of a sound body. For that person, then we continue with the 8 limbs of yoga. This adhikari, for one whom we are discussing, may or may not be in the need to practice the asanas. The mind is perfectly sound, but due to some reason, the body may or may not be able to go through those practices. We shall conclude here. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Purnamada, from that into that. Explain this verse today. It's never ending. Born from it, will be into it. Hari Om. We meet again in the next session. Namaskar.